Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, talkradio.nyc, and streaming live on Facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, Twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire, YouTube.com/Secrets of the Sire. Are you getting a trend now? We're everywhere. Tonight's show, we are going to do Trailer Truth or Trash on the Dark Phoenix leaked trailer, which is actually debuting in the United States tonight. We are also going to be talking about fall TV preview. Should we watch it live? Should we binge it for later? Or should we delete it from our DVR? And we have Thomas Ian Nicholas from American Pie is going to be our featured interview. But as always, we are sponsored by Jolly Jane. Jolly Jane is the story of a paramedic who is possessed by the spirit of a serial killer. It's on Kickstarter right now. Jeff Kaufman and I, we've known each other for a while now. He's a great writer. He's been doing a lot of great things. So go to Kickstarter, search Jolly Jane, or if you want, you can actually go to secretsofthesire.com/Jolly Jane, and it will take you over there. Mr. Hassan Godwin, how are you doing, sir? Lord of the Radio.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad I'm the afterthought after all the advertising hoopla. You
absolutely are.
Yeah.
Here's the ironic part.
Yeah.
You are the talent that brings in said advertising, but then the advertising takes control.
And your book gets advertised on top of everything, right?
Well, that's
gets introduced before even I do.
Everything,
right?
Well too.
Right.
So, Dark Phoenix trailer is coming out tonight. It's going to be on the Late Show with.
So is that movie coming out?
In February, yeah.
In February?
Yeah.
Wow, that must be some trailer.
So here we go. The movie was delayed until February 2019 because
it sucks.
because test screenings were very, very negative.
Yes, because it sucks. Because it's another...
That being said, it also had to accommodate the cast's collective schedule.
It's another Fox X-Men movie, and they're not good.
Well, no, that's not true. I know you don't love X2, but X2 was well received. X-Men, the first one, was very well received as well too. X-Men Last Stand,
well they were received.
4. Days of Futures Past, I thought was excellent. Right? I thought that was a solid movie, start to finish.
No,
I thought it was pretty solid.
No.
And First Class was pretty decent as well too.
No, it wasn't.
It was a pretty good movie.
No, terrible movie.
They're not. No. What's your definition of a terrible movie?
Oh, bad story.
And that's it. If there's bad story, there's bad. What elements of First Class was a bad story? Because we've done X2 to death, and it's an old one, and I don't even think our intern is old enough to have been alive when X2 came out the first time. So
I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen First Class, but I didn't think it was grandiose at all. I thought it was boring in a lot of points. I thought it was derivative. I thought the villain. I mean, Kevin Bacon. He's usually a good bet, but I just didn't. I thought he was lackluster, and I just didn't enjoy it. I don't enjoy any of those movies. You know why? Because there's no payoff to the continuity. You could pay attention to continuity,
Yeah,
reboot, continuity,
Look, it came
reboot.
during the era of we don't understand continuity because we're movie executives, and then it's like Marvel, and then Kevin Feige comes in and does that.
Yeah.
I think they've done a decent job of repairing it as best they can.
No, they didn't. They destroyed it. They repaired it.
Yeah.
They absolutely repaired it with Days of Future Past. They fixed it.
Right.
And then they destroyed it again with Logan, because then Logan comes along and says, "Oh, everybody died anyway," and then they rebooted.
Wait, that's an outcome that doesn't destroy continuity. I mean, it basically just gives you it gives you the outcome.
Your movie fixes the continuity from a broken movie previously, right?
Yeah.
From broken series previously.
Right.
The next movie you do shows the far end of everything you just fixed as ending in an apocalypse.
Yeah. Okay. Look. When I say fixed continuity, I mean that they fixed time holes, I guess is the best way to say it.
No, they didn't.
They didn't do it completely, but they did it enough, and they kind of did it enough where I'm like, I knew they were...
They still didn't. They never told you how Wolverine got his claws back.
No, I know.
His adamantium was killing him.
You can actually go into
Logan.
secretsofthesire.com and check out our entire X2 review.
You asked me, right?
No. But I'm disagreeing with you. I think.
Well, but you can't trivialize my argument.
No, I don't trivialize it. While I agree with what you're saying, yes, there are things that you could spot and say, hey, they hate this, they that. I think that they were they had this whole insurmountable task of doing continuity after the fact.
Now you're talking business and not art.
It's
You're
true.
arguing art with business.
That's true.
I don't argue art with business.
I don't disagree.
I don't care about whatever decisions they had to make. They were the ones who made those decisions in the first place, and they're the ones who had to try to clean up their own decision making.
No, I agreed. I don't
So-
look. I don't disagree with you on that. I am making excuses. I'm not lying about that either. I am making excuses, and I fully own up to that. But that being said, I also feel like, given the task and given the syndrome of Hollywood, they did a decent job. All right. Well, let's talk about the trailer.
I guess that discussion's over. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Let's talk.
Well,
about
you
the
were wrong,
leaked-
and that's as long as we've established
is that progress?
Yeah,
I would
for
say
me.
we agree to disagree.
Huh?
When in Rome.
Right. We agree you're wrong.
When in Rome.
And you disagree that we agree with that, but we did agree.
Agreed. All right.
Yes, that
Dark
you're wrong.
Phoenix leaked. Thank you, Russia. Somebody in Russia with the little handheld, with the little video, with the little iPhone. They scooped a piece of Dark Phoenix, the trailer. Every time I see a trailer, though, I just think back to Entourage Season 4 when it's Meddy Ian and Eric sees the movie and he's like, this is really bad. He's like, could you make a good trailer out of this? And the guy's like, yeah. And he's like, we're going to get someone to buy this. And they do. And they get ironically, it was the Harvey Weingarten character who's like, I'll give you $25 million for it. And Eric's like, take it. It gets all our money back. But anyway, I digress.
But he didn't want the movie to come out.
I should
ultimately.
do an entire Entourage podcast, man. I loved that show up until a certain point, and then it went off the rails, and now it's like the biggest punchline in like Hollywood circles. But
Their movie went off the rails. Did they do 2 movies? They did one movie.
Just one movie, and
the movie didn't even do well.
Yeah, no.
After all that.
Yeah, no. Look, they lost it when Turtle became a millionaire. All right. So anyway,
I didn't even know that.
they
that
cut
happened.
a really good trailer, and this is kind of what we learned from it. There's little bits and pieces. Obviously, you get to see Jean Grey as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
She crashes her car when she's with her parents. I guess it's what kills her parents and has her end up at the X Mansion. So you're going to see a little bit of past in that. I'm going to cut in real quick too. Sophie Turner, right? Like all of a sudden she went from like the whiny sister on Game of Thrones to being like this Hollywood powerhouse, right? Like, isn't it amazing like her career trajectory?
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. She's done X-Men.
Well, you were a big game. No, but she's doing a whole bunch of other stuff now too. Because
Yeah,
of
but
that
you
too.
haven't told me the other stuff that she's doing.
Yeah, I can't think of what it is off the top.
So
of my head,
then
but
I
she's-
can't-
She's been in other things.
Okay. Then yes, Michael, I agree with you. That is a
best as I
a
can
good
do.
reference. Yes, that is good. Here's man. Jean Grey was never the Phoenix. I don't understand why this is so hard. This is another reason why this sucks rocks, man. Jean Grey was never the Phoenix. And I have arguments with people about that. Like people like, of course she was.
In
I'm
the
like,
continuity, originally she was the Phoenix.
yes.
And then to bring
And
her
then they
back for
fixed it.
X Factor
Doesn't
number
matter.
1,
Doesn't
they said,
matter.
oh, it turns out it was never Jean Grey.
So okay, you're saying that continuity isn't continuity when we don't want it to be continuity.
I'm merely telling you what the continuity was. So when you say a statement of Jean Grey was never Phoenix,
and if these movies had been made in between the time of the Dark Phoenix saga for X-Men,
Right.
and the first issue, of X Factor,
Sure.
then that would be valid.
Right.
But since these movies come out a solid 30 years after X Factor 1, it is in canon that Jean Grey was never the Dark Phoenix.
In the comic book canon. I mean, you're saying
It's
that...
in canon.
Yeah, comic book canon. It doesn't have to be
what is
movie canon. I mean, look, the way I look at the movies...
Well,
are
yeah,
like an
but
ultimate-
here's
they're like an
the
ultimate
problem.
universe, right?
Here's the problem with this is Fox, right?
Yeah.
Fox. They got look what they did to Psylocke. I mean, look what they did to those characters.
But now you're mixing business with story.
No, I'm
here,
talking
too.
about art. Look what they did to Psylocke.
No,
look
I
what
agree.
Psylocke
I agree.
became.
Not very good.
Look what Angel became. Look what all these characters
Oh, of course.
became.
No, very terrible.
Okay, so again, how can these movies be anything but crap? Sorry.
Well, you didn't Bing, so it's okay. You're okay.
I'm sorry to be negative.
I don't have
I
to put the-
apologize for the negativity. Because
Well, what do you guys think out there? I mean, you're on the Facebook feed.
Don't ask them. They're liable
they
to tell us.
They get no say in this.
They're liable to tell us what they think. That's
no,
terrible. That's a terrible experience.
I mean, look, Me personally, I don't think every movie was bad. Me personally, I think they were up against a big challenge of continuity, and they addressed it, I think, as best as they were capable of doing without a Kevin Feige to lead them. I think the bigger question...
That's business again.
Which is a segue for what I just said, though. What is the point of this movie at this point now? Disney's looming.
This is what I'm talking about. Like, listen, it doesn't fit the milieu of Disney at all. It's just terrible. It's just terrible.
It's just
I'm sorry. I grew up reading X-Men. That was my comic. I never read the Avengers. I never read any of this. I am aware of all these other characters and all these other the nuances of all these other great franchises within the Marvel universe because of these movies. And I've gone back to not be a poser. I've gone back and I've read them in their original comic book form. But I was never an Avenger. I never read the Avengers. I never read Iron Man. I read the Hulk a couple of times, like off and on. But I was an X-Men fan. I read X-Men. I read X Factor. I read X Force. As farcical as it was, I was a New Mutants. I was a huge New Mutants fan.
As bad as this is for the show, I 100% agree with you. X-Men, when we were growing up, was dominant. I mean, it was like, and to see them, what they were doing with some of the films, and I don't, again, for me, it's
all of them.
For me, it started with Last Stand. I can, but again, you got to. This is what I hate, right? I hate it when people use today's lens to kind of judge stuff that happened in the past. I've seen this on Twitter. I've seen this on social media in general, like that.
What does that mean?
It means that in 2000, when the movie came out, the only successful comic book movie we had was Blade, and even that, was like, we're not a comic book movie, we're a vampire movie. Like they made it a point to kind of like distance themselves from being a comic book movie. So to me, my expectation level going into X-Men was at a point where just give me something watchable, give me some moments that remind me of X-Men, and I'll be happy with it. And they did that. And then X2 was like, now you can blow. No, I am the one telling the story.
Yeah.
And then X2 comes out, and I say, okay, great. Now you can kind of take it to another level. And I thought they did. There are errors in terms of, this didn't happen in the comics, and this didn't. But I mean,
what you're doing is you're basically comparing the way you're viewing them with the way others view them. Yes. Because you just said that you hate that people view them with the lens of today. But I'm telling you, in 1999, I hated that movie.
Yeah, I know.
I remember having a huge conversation with Brian Cunningham about it, and I was like, it was a terrible movie. And Brian Cunningham from
Wizard
said,
now at DC.
Yes, now at DC. Said, but it's comic books now. I was so surprised that they got it right, and I'm like, it was terrible. He was, you're just negative about everything. It's like, oh, fine, if you want to paint me with that.
It's amazing how 20 years ago Brian Cunningham got the exact answer I was about to give you. All right, when we come back, we'll continue this discussion, and then we will talk fall TV preview. Should we watch it live? Should we binge it later, or should we just delete it from our DVR?
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
Did you know you've been playing poker your whole life, even if you've never played a hand of cards? Hi, I'm Ellen Lakend, author of Poker Woman and host of the new show, Poker Divas. On the show, I talk about how poker strategy helps you win in business, life, and love. Tune in live every Thursday, 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network. Are you stuck in a rut? Negative thoughts, feelings, and conversations got you down? Hi, I'm Noreen Sumter, the Potentiator. Tune in every Tuesday at 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time and listen for new ideas on my show, Beyond Potential, Live Life Your Way, on talkradio.nyc.
Who do you want to connect with?
Are you an entrepreneur or intrapreneur looking to build your following?
Welcome to our show,
Follow Me Friday with Joan
and Priya.
Tune in every Friday at noon Eastern
on talkradio.nyc.
We're your digital connectors. Woo woo!
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
Just taking a break this year. I can't do 2 full tours in a year, man. I'm just too old for that crap. You know, I'm just too old. Was looking at doing a Summerland festival, like in Vegas or somewhere like that, and that might happen.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We played a little clip from our interview with Art Alexakis from Everclear because we've debuted this week the Sire Spotlight podcast, which is on every Monday now. So we are going to be streaming live everywhere and going up on iTunes. We're going to pluck our best celebrity interviews, like the interview with Art Alexakis from Everclear. This past week we did Christy Romano. This coming week we'll do Thomasine Nicholas again because he's live on this show tonight. And just in case people want to get a replay. And then you're also going to get a whole bunch of stuff from the archives. I write for AM New York, and I do a lot of interviews with a lot of talented musicians, some actors as well, too, that it doesn't fit into the niche of what we're doing, but it's pretty effing cool that we got it on audio, and it's the full interviews. So a lot of times, too, we'll show, just the stuff that's relevant to us, like we did Billy Corgan, but we only kind of did the pop culture reference there. You'll get the full thing. So every Monday.
That's ironic.
Check it out.
That statement.
It's ironic. Well, music is we've done this in the past though, where we've talked about music and the audience just kind of it's like it's not the audience that we drive to. So this podcast gives us a chance to just kind of play with that and have a good time. So,
all right.
So that was Art Alexakis from Everclear. Check us out, Sire Spotlight. Go to youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire. You can go to the Facebook page as well too. Every Monday. All right, we were talking Dark Phoenix, and before we jump to our fall TV preview real quick, I guess I threw the question out there, and this is kind of what we were talking about. We actually dove into this whole Entourage conversation, which we have to start bringing back. Well, okay, Rob K and I got into this whole Entourage conversation. It was excellent. And then you chimed in. You chimed in.
But I never watched. I didn't really watch. I only said that the movie flopped, which it did.
The whole idea of what is the point if Disney's looming? Do you kind of just go to the movie and to just see X-Men characters at this point?
I don't know. I'm not going to go see it.
Like, what's your box office? Well, you are, because we're going to review it in February.
I'm going to pretend I saw it.
Okay, done. Okay. Shh, don't give away our secrets.
I'm just letting you know what the deal is.
I am still not done with Daredevil Season 2, and we are going to talk Daredevil Season 3 in like a matter of minutes here.
Well.
So
I would advise maybe...
Is this thing on?
Don't do that.
I mean, do you go just to see X-Men characters on screen? Not you personally, but like in general. I guess so. Is that what it is now?
I guess because... I don't know. It's proven which formula works for comics and which doesn't, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Marvel's going strong 10 years. DC has imploded twice in their attempts to do it, but and I don't mind some of the DC movies. I think some of them are halfway decent, but they keep trying to force this rigid, and here's business for art.
Yeah. This
rigid formula.
Yeah.
That does not work.
I know.
It hasn't worked. I mean, it so blatantly failed with Green Lantern, right? And that's like the lowest point of the that's not the lowest point of comic movies, but that's the lowest, most recent, most contemporary point of what we're trying not to avoid. It's the template for which Marvel built the MCU on. Like, we will avoid this. We will use this as a blueprint of what not to do. Okay, and then so DC, Warner's just plowing right through with that, and so is Sony with Spider-Man, and now and Fox. Fox had X-Men.
Yeah,
Fox was ridiculous about this because they had X-Men, and X-Men, even though it's not as popular as it was when we were growing up, it's still a major book.
Sure.
It's one of the major Marvel books.
Mm-hmm.
And they had it lock, stock, and barrel. So all they had to do was just start taking the character seriously and build some continuity, and they could have had something that could have rivaled on a smaller scale.
Do you ever get the feeling that like there's just like one guy, and it's usually a guy I would imagine, who just like, he takes that like $1 bazillion, then he tries really hard in the second movie, and then after that he's just like, I did my thing now. I'm good. He's just smoking his cigar.
And we're referring to that for whom? For which?
I'm saying to putting it on his shoulders every single time a Marvel movie comes out, right? I mean, he's the guy you're going to blame if...
But he's not in the forefront.
He is in the forefront. I mean, he's the one up there
at
Comic-Con speaking. He's the one that's gonna get the... I mean, even like things like...
See, the thing is... what I think Marvel did is I think Marvel made put the characters in the forefront. I think you go to... I think they put Captain America and Iron Man in the forefront of these movies.
But let's say Iron Man 2, right? Because would we agree that's the worst of the Iron Man franchises?
No.
Iron Man 3?
No.
Iron Man?
No.
Okay, we got no other Iron Man movies. I'm talking about
I don't think any of the Iron Mans are bad.
Really? Not even 2?
They're not that great. They're not as great as the first one, but they're not
that's
bad.
my ask. My question was not, is there a bad Iron Man? It was, which one is the worst one of the bunch? 2.
You said of the Marvel movies.
No, Iron Man 3 out of the bunch. If you had to pick one, gun to your head.
Maybe 2.
2 was... Again, in terms of just mass critical appeal, was the lowest rated one, was not quite there. No one's going to sit there and be like, wow, Robert Downey Jr. really messed that up. If Iron Man 2, let's pretend, hypothetically, it started a series of, boy, this is really failing. Is Robert Downey Jr., is Iron Man getting the flack of it? Or is it that, oh, man, Kevin Feige, man, that guy doesn't know what he's doing anymore, or he blew it. You know what I mean?
That's not what I mean. I'm just saying as a selling point, as a standpoint of, instead of it being studios, maybe it's the Marvel Studios, but Marvel Studios is the Marvel characters. They use the Marvel characters to sell the Marvel movies.
Right.
They didn't have Kevin Feige as this Elon Musk of comic book movies to constantly promote the movies. He was in the behind the scenes, so whenever you go to a convention or you'd see a behind the scenes segment, you would see him talking about the stuff, but he didn't push himself as
all right. Yeah.
The premiere.
Right, yeah, he's not the
MC.
reason you go see these movies.
Right,
but he is the reason you have faith in them.
The problem is that Fox and Sony and Warner's at the forefront of their respective franchises. So it's the Fox brand of comic book. Instead of X-Men pushing Wolverine and Cyclops and Jean Grey, I mean, the closest they came that they pushed Wolverine. They picked one guy out of the entire bunch, and they pushed Wolverine as much as humanly possible. They didn't bother to develop any of those characters. You see how the Wolverine movies, they went from that horrible first movie to a halfway decent second movie with the Wolverine to Logan, right?
Yeah.
Because they were pushing that character. If Fox had bothered to develop any of the other characters in the X-Men franchise, they would have had a ton of movies.
Of course.
They could have used.
Of course.
That's what Marvel did.
Because they had a Kevin Feige, though. I mean, he is the guy pulling the strings behind the scenes. He is the guy that had the vision. I mean, to deny that doesn't make any sense.
I'm not denying that. I'm saying you don't need a Kevin Feige. You just have to follow the formula.
Yeah.
The formula is let's develop these characters.
Right. That's a formula Kevin Feige developed after the fact. I think that's really what my point is. All right. Dark Phoenix, truth or trash? I think we're both going to say trash.
Sure.
All right, because we are very excited. I'm excited for this next segment. I really am. This is our fall TV preview. It's our DVR challenge. I want to know, out of the returning comic books, movies, which, by the way, last week we never announced the winner of our DC Marvel Slugfest. Sorry, not Marvel. Our DC CW Slugfest, which was anyway. So the the returning shows. I want to know, Hassan. I'm gonna blare out a few, and you're gonna tell me: should we binge it? Should we watch it live, or should we just delete it from our DVR? All right? This is what I want to know, okay? We're going to start with the king of all of the... king of them all, right? King of them all has got to be Walking Dead Season 9 returning. Are we gonna watch it live? Are we gonna binge it? Are we just gonna say, what's a good zombie metaphor for this? Obliterate? Are we gonna blow to a head? No, that's a whole other thing, isn't it? Now, what do you got for me?
What do you think my answer would be for The Walking Dead?
You're just negative about everything.
Uh-huh.
I think we talked about this.
I'm pretty sure I'm on record ad nauseum about The Walking Dead to the point where I think it's well known what my attitude about The Walking Dead.
But we're always getting new viewers and new listeners.
They can go back and listen. That'll be good advertising for previous episodes.
Look at you go. I love it. I love it. Feed the machine, my man. Feed the machine. That's how we're going to eat. All right. I think if you did go and look at other previous episodes, you would understand that a lot of people, including Hassan, were extremely turned off.
Mostly by Hassan. Mostly Hassan. Well, I'm the leader of that.
Well, look, I still have
fan club now.
Full disclosure, pull the curtain back. I still have 2 episodes from last season. I know what happens at the end, but my dad and I we're fighting through. We are struggling through it, but we're gonna get through
I am so proud. I have no clue what happened. I saw 1 episode, I think, from that last season, which was a semi-important episode that one of the major characters died.
Yes.
And I didn't know what, I had no idea what episodes came before that, and I didn't know what any episodes were coming after that.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is just as incoherently stupid as it's always been.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I'm not invested.
Yeah. It's such a shame too, because you talk about how like they had, they were the king. I think all shows though, no matter what, right?
I bought it. I bought into it. I enjoyed the show, but eventually the show started taking on this like kind of godlike status that I didn't see it. They goes, oh, it's a good show, but I didn't see like, okay, why are people talking about this? Like this is the answer to a lot of burning like social questions that plague us on a regular basis. I didn't understand that.
Because it answers all the plaguing questions.
It doesn't. It was gore. It was horror gore. It was movie quality. It was cinematic horror gore on primetime television. That's 90% of what it was. And then it was like murder porn. Because it's like, which one of your characters will be murdered this week? Heinously. Which one of your favorite characters?
It's ironic because Robert Kirkman has a new show called Die, Die, Die. I'm not even joking. That's not an actual joke. That is the name of the show.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I'm wishing him the best.
But no, like I agree with you, but I think there was an element of fun to that where it's like,
sure.
What creative
There's an element of fun to who's going to get murdered. I
forget Noah's character in season 5 when he got trapped between the revolving doors and he gets torn to bits, and it was like that was kind of like, I know it's gruesome. I agree with you. It's murder porn in that sense, but it was fun. Like it was actually like
that's fun. You consider that fun? Okay, that says it.
19 million viewers can't be wrong.
Sure they can. Sure they can.
But no, I'm just saying that like it was cool. But then when they took it to that next level with Negan and Glenn and Abraham dying, I think I agree with you. I think everyone got kind of teed off at it. So season 9 is supposed to be though a reboot. Not a reboot like they're starting over, but like.
And then they're getting rid of Rick.
Yeah, Rick is actually, and we'll save his story for Spin the Racks, but Rick is going to be back, just not the way you think.
He's already gone? Or this is his last season?
This is his last season.
Yeah, whatever.
Here's the one thing I'll talk about with that. I'm curious as to whether or not he is going to die or just be written off so that he could come back in some way, shape, or form. I mean, the past track record suggests he is going to die.
More power to that curiosity. I don't have it.
All right, let's move on to one we haven't done yet at all. Daredevil season 3 is coming. Now, I know it's a binge show. Obviously, it's a binge show. So in the Netflix variety, let's classify it this way.
You can't really watch Netflix shows live. It's all binge.
No. But that's what I'm getting at here. For the purposes of this exercise that we are doing, Let's say, do you have to watch? Are you going to watch it in the first week, or is it something that you're okay if a month later you kind of trickle over to all 13 episodes and eventually finish?
No, I'll watch it in the first week.
You watch it in the first
Daredevil,
week?
Yeah.
I think it is too. I think it's the most watchable out of all those shows, right?
I don't know about whether it's the most watchable of all those shows. I'm just responding for me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'm asking
how
you,
many
what do you
people.
think?
I think it's bull that it's taken 3 years to get another season.
Has it been 3? Well,
It's been at least 2 years.
Defenders counts, right?
Huh?
It's definitely been. It has to be less than 2 years.
They were on their second season when the first season of Jessica Jones came out. And Jessica
So
Jones.
it's 2016. So 2 years. And then you have Defenders in between, which is Daredevil also.
Yeah,
so
so that's 2 years per season. That's ridiculous for 13 episodes. Stop it.
All right.
Stop it.
All right.
They need to get that. They need to be better with that, because a lot of times it's a lot of weight for strangely drawn out continuity, to the point where they have one good hook.
Yeah.
They drag it out for 13 episodes, and by the 12th episode, you're like, this could have been wrapped up. Like.
You know what's the funniest thing? I am such a rarity here that because I'm in the comic book and pop culture business here for a living, my one complaint with a lot of these shows, I love Jessica Jones season 1. Like I'm getting through that and I love it. The parts that I hate are when they reference to the fact that she has superpowers and she's part of this like superhero universe. Like at that point, I'm like, it actually loses. Like when she has like the marathon session with Luke Cage. When she like lifts the car up, like things like that, and I'm like, it actually detracts for me personally from the series, which makes me an oddball completely.
So does that mean you're going to delete Daredevil?
No, Daredevil's the one. That's what I'm saying. It's the one show where I dive hook, line, and sinker into the fact that he is a superhero dressed up in a superhero costume, fighting crime, which is ridiculous, especially in Hell's Kitchen because Hell's Kitchen's been cleaned up. All right. When we come back,
all right, I guess that's done.
When we come back, we're gonna do one more show, which is one that we both haven't seen, but I want to get your opinion as to whether or not we should. I think it might be time we do. When we come back,
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
are you into comics, movies, and pop culture at large? What about music and TV? Then you're in for a treat. This is Michael Dolce, your host on TalkingAlternative.com. I've been professionally writing comic books, screenplays, and music articles for almost 15 years. Catch my show, Secrets of the Sire, at its new primetime slot, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and get the inside scoop on the pop culture universe you love to talk about. For more info, go to secretsofthesire.com.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul. Join me to uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to living a healthy life. Join us every Wednesday at my new time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
Talking Alternative Radio, 24 hours a day.
We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture, all the stuff that you love, and we do it right here.
Stuff that makes the girls run away.
Oh, well, clearly. No. That is completely false.
Stuff that makes the girls
That
leave.
is completely
I recommended
false.
Secrets of the Sire on my show, and I got less female listeners.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. I'm going to do a little paid promotion. Go check out Jolly Jane. secretsofthesire.com/Jolly Jane. It is the story of a paramedic possessed by the spirit of a serial killer. They got to live together It's an awesome book. It's from a horror genius. Jeff Kaufman does a lot of great stuff with Big City Comics. Go check them out. Again, you can go search on Kickstarter for Jolly Jane. We have the link up there right now. Or, again, you can just go to secretsofthesire.com/Jolly Jane, and it will take you to a page that will link you to the Kickstarter as well. A little non-paid promotion, though. I'm one of a host of people who are testing an app out, and it's for micro podcasts. And I think we should just do a Secrets of the Sire drop podcast where we just play all our drops in micro podcasts, 10 seconds or less. That's what this whole app is 10 second or less podcasts. It's crazy. We were actually just talking backstage. Our producer tonight is Rob Kay, who's of the Talking Alternative family, and he was saying he watched one episode of Walking Dead, and it was the one episode where Glenn and Abraham get killed, and you're out at that point. So I mean, of all the episodes,
the most murder porn of the murder
of
porn.
All the episodes to watch, it is the one that literally put it on a downward trajectory.
And good, and it deserves it because I mean, you know what? No, I think it was obnoxious to do that.
Yeah.
I think that was blatant sensationalism of the gore.
Yeah.
And you know, and they deserved it. They did, because this is the same theme from the X-Men and Marvel. You have these characters, you lead with your characters. These characters transcend the medium and they become household names. And then you mistreat those characters, you pay for it.
Yeah.
Just like Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
You know, and Marvel kind of respects these characters. So these characters carry the franchise through. So it even weathers not so great moments such as Iron Man 2 or Thor 2, The Dark World, which is in my opinion, the low point of the MCU.
Very well said. I disagree with you completely. All right. A show we're doing watch, binge, or delete. It's our DVR.
Only means I'm more right.
It's our DVR challenge. My last show on my list, because we did the DC shows last week, so we kind of went ad nauseum with that. There's a new show, Manifest, by the way, at NBC. I caught the pilot. I actually stayed up till midnight watching it last night, which was a mistake because my kid got me up at 5:30. But that's got some promise, and it's got like a Lost-esque kind of feel. But we'll wait and see what we feel about that. Riverdale. Do you watch Riverdale?
Nope.
I don't watch Riverdale either, but I read all about it. We had a Riverdale expert on last year, and the more and more I read it, the more and more like I kind of want to watch it. Like it's kind of off the rails a little bit. They actually even introduced like the Black Hood in season 2, which is like I mean, I guess he exists in the Archie universe, in like the new Archie universe. Like they so first of all, it's a former comic book writer, Robert. I'm gonna Aguirre. I know I'm gonna butcher his name. Roberto Aguirre. See, I did it. That was good. And he so he's the showrunner on it, and he also is like, again, he comes from comic books, so it's kind of cool. He runs it, and they just kind of like throw everything in it's like a melting pot of just all these things, like murder mystery, Twin Peaks. Black Hood, serial killers, and it's Archie, so it's kind of like, Josie and the Pussycats, they kind of have
Are
all
the Josie
these.
and the Pussycats on?
Yeah.
They're on Riverdale?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Do they go into outer space every now and then?
Why not? Maybe they will. So I'm gonna actually say this is a show, and I want to hear from you guys. If there's any Riverdale fans out there, tell me why. But this is a show, like, I think I'm gonna start binging. I'm gonna go check it on Netflix. What do you think? Delete it?
No, I don't know anything about it. So, I mean, it hasn't piqued any of my interests.
Yeah.
But if it's a good show, if it turns into a good show, or if it turns out to be a good show, you'll tell me. You'll let me know, and then I'll decide to binge it.
Clearly, I was correct. Roberto Aguirre Sacasa.
Yeah,
I was so close.
You got that perfectly.
I was so close with that.
Wow.
So close. All right. Very excited to welcome our next guest. He's been on the show before. But it is Thomas Ian Nicholas from American Pie. I got to interview him at Wizard World Chicago. Wizard World, thank you so much again for hooking me up with a lot of great celebrity guests. We got another surprise celebrity guest coming on next week from Vampire Diaries. It's going to be exciting with that, too. But Thomas
Ian... That's not a surprise anymore.
Well, he's somebody. See, I'm teasing. It's all about the tease. Thomas Ian Nicholas with co-author Lainey Sarum. They have a young adult fantasy novel out right now, which is just fantastic. He also talked about the American Pie reunion. So without further ado, Thomas Ian Nicholas. This is Michael Dolce of Secrets of the Sire here at Wizard World Chicago with Thomas Ian Nicholas and Lainey Sarum, the author of Handbook for Mortals. Thomas, you were on our show last year. Handbook for Mortals hadn't even been released yet. Give us an update. Give our audience an update. How's it gone? How's the reception gone? How's the book going in general?
Well, the book is being very well received. We've even had people showing up. So we'll do book signings in cities at Barnes & Noble or local bookstores. Someone will come buy the book on a Wednesday, and by the time we get to the convention, they'll be halfway through the book and come dressed as the main character, Zaid. So we've had some cosplay. So like I said, it's being very well received. And we have some very important meetings coming up when we get back to Los Angeles. There's not really too much I can divulge. So, you can't really put the carriage in front of the horse. So we have some strong interest from some very substantial companies and actors, and once we lock those into place, if everything moves the way that we're hoping it will, we could be making some very big announcements soon.
Lainey, give the elevator pitch for the book for our audience.
So it's about a young woman that moves to Las Vegas to work for a magic show, but she can do real magic. It was 34 on the USA Today bestseller list when it came out. And just like Harry Potter, it's okay for all ages. So I'll have a lot of adult fans read it and love it, but it's also appropriate for kids. And I've had those as young as 8 read it, probably with some help on a few of the words, and as old as 90. I've had a 90-year-old fan that came to one of my book signings, and it was really cool because she was so excited. I was the first author she'd ever met in 90 years. So
how did you guys come together with the project and everything?
We were working on a musical project a few years ago, and I had written the script, and I hadn't really shown it to anyone yet.
A musical project? Like, why is it that you can't tell this part of the story? We were doing a music project together. A musical sounds like we're doing something for Broadway.
As you noticed, Tom loves to give me a hard time. We were working on a...
She can write, she just can't speak. It's okay.
It's the sign of a good partnership, don't worry.
We were working on an album, actually, if you want to get technical. He did a song for this album that I executive produced with some other acts on it. And I had written the script. I hadn't really shown it to anyone yet. And I just thought, wouldn't he be a great person to have it to read it? And, because obviously of his background and he'd been acting and, producing in his own movies. And I was just like, I'd love your honest opinion about it. And maybe one day I could cast you in it. And I kind of laughed. And then he read it and he loved it. And he came back with some notes. And I liked all his notes but one. And he was like, if you like, if you're kind of getting, vibing with what I'm saying about some of this stuff, maybe we can work on it together. And I was like, that sounds great. So I adapted all his notes. So while he didn't write any of the book, he helped develop the story that became the book. And not too long after that, I had a small book publisher read it and convinced me to turn it into a book. And so now here we are.
It's fantastic. Thomas, I got to say, you have hit the Comic-Con circuit the last, almost 2 years now. 2 seasons at least anyway of Comic-Cons. And you do it. I'm a comic book creator myself. I know how it is to grind at these things and to see someone at your level, really take this grassroots. I got to say, I'm really impressed.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we started on the circuit, I would say, last, April, I think was when we really started hitting the ground running with the pre-sales for the book. Prior to that, I'd only done a handful of Comic-Cons, and it just was something that I experienced for the first time. My first Comic-Con was Wales in 2012, right around the release of American Reunion. And that was where I saw the shift of Comic-Cons kind of opening up, I think, a little bit more to pop culture. And obviously still servicing, the comic books and superheroes. But I remember when I first got offered to go, I was like, I'm not in a superhero movie. I'm not in a Marvel thing or a DC comic. I'm not into fantasy. Obviously the closest thing I've got to fantasy is having a 100-mile-an-hour fastball arm or falling through time. So both of which are
A Kid in King Arthur's Court is pretty fantasy. You go to the medieval times.
Yes, I included that in there in my fantasy thing. It's also fantastical to have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. That is a kid's fantasy. Both are fantastical, but they don't necessarily delve into the fantasy realm of Comic-Con, like at least where Comic-Con was maybe 10 years ago. But really the hit in the ground on doing every one came with the idea of Lanny taking her screenplay, adapting it into a book so that we could introduce it to the audience. We realized that the audience for that type of fantasy story was here, and we could nurture and sort of plant the seeds of generating an audience before the film is made.
It's fantastic, too. It's a great strategy, and it's one, obviously, in this world, production companies want this following behind it, and it's great that you were able to kind of tap in because it's very relatable and it's very related to what we have here.
Well, I think the idea is most of what we see here is people celebrating that which has already been released. So we're forging forward and trying to do that in a reverse engineering sort of mode.
Absolutely, and it's like I said, very impressive to see you really, putting the work in. It's amazing. So, last question: American Pie, 20-year anniversary coming up next year. What do you guys have planned for that?
There have been a lot of rumblings about the development of American Pie 5. They've kind of been in existence since we did American Reunion, and I know that except for a sequel, I mistakenly thought the script had already been written and commissioned by Universal right after we had done that, based upon some of the conversations that I had with executives. And I recently was quoted in an article saying that. I apparently was wrong, so I retract my. Well, they didn't reach out. I reached out to John and Hayden because I had heard that developments were farther along, and I said, "Oh, hey, is there something more happening that I don't know about?" And they said no, and then they actually clarified that the script hadn't been written yet. At least I thought it had been sitting on a shelf for 5 years at Universal. Wrong. I was wrong. I apologize. I'm retracting my statement, but that doesn't make it any less viable that it could be, a possibility. And with Adam Herz's original sort of concept that teen comedies have a 20-year cycle, now it's the 20-year anniversary of the first American Pie. Hey, who knows? Anything's possible.
Once again, thank you so much.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.
The best designs for your life start at home. I'm David Thiergartner, interior designer and host of At Home. Listen live Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time as we talk to the very best professionals about interior design and the design that's all around us, right here on talkradio.nyc.
Are you a conscious co-creator? Are you on a quest to raise your vibration and your consciousness? I'm Sam Leibowitz, your conscious consultant, and on my show, The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, we will touch upon all these topics and more. Listen live at our new time on Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern Time. That's The Conscious Consultant Hour, Awakening Humanity, Thursdays 12 noon on talkradio.nyc.
Are you feeling unhappy with your body, shape, or size? Ever feel out of control with food? I'm Elizabeth Tripp, your host of Nourish the Soul. Join me to uncover the root to these imbalances and discover a permanent solution to living a healthy life. Join us every Wednesday at my new time, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on talkradio.nyc.
TalkingAlternative.com.
I
had a ticket bought for me by
by
an enthusiastic friend. No.
Did you know that friend now asked me to go?
So does that mean I don't have a ticket anymore?
This is correct. I actually passed it on to Sam. So now Sam is
Sam's
going with your friend.
With my friend.
To the show.
Well, now I have a lot to say about this. And none of it's good.
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. We talk comics, movies, TV, pop culture every Wednesday night, 8
They
p.m.
know that.
Eastern. I want to do a little shameless self-plugging.
Again.
Mainstream number 5 is in stores right now. Check it out. Local comic book stores. There are people on this earth that do not belong. It's up to a Chicago cop and an interdimensional police force to send them back where they belong.
I don't belong in this earth.
And at New York Comic Con next week, if you are attending, go to booth 1166. Myself and James Massia will be on hand. And we will be doing a show special. You can buy issues 1 through 5, which would cost you $25. You could buy for $20. And you'll be able to get the Sire Volume 2 trade paperback, which is just out. I mean, fresh off the boat.
Off the boat.
Yeah, I think it comes from like overseas. We printed it. No, we don't. We actually printed in Michigan.
Nice try to save.
and I got to give
off the boat.
Well, it's supposed to be. It was supposed
It's
to be
a Mexican book. It's right off the boat.
It's fantastic. I got to give Greco Printing a big shout out, though. They're doing a great job with that. And we'll have a deal for Volume 1 and 2 as well, too. So booth 1166. All right.
1166.
We do this every week. We go spinning the racks, bringing you the most fantastical pop culture news.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
We have like a sad one, actually. Rest in peace, Norm Brayfogle. It just came across the wire. He's an iconic Batman artist from the 80s.
I first heard his name in Marvel. He was part of the kind of a rebirth.
Yeah.
At Valiant.
Yeah.
And he was doing the Eternal Warrior. That's the first time I ever heard his name.
He was also Malibu Comics.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the superhero
He was a
name.
big deal there.
Yeah,
He was oh whoa.
And was he cross-gen also?
It was yes.
Prime. Remember Prime?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
And because I always loved that. I was always mad at him for that really simple one-word title that kind of really...
I was going to even just say simple yet powerful artwork. His
artwork was fantastic. I was going to get into that, but I mean the Prime in and of itself was just like just really great one-word title with a lot of power behind it. And then then his art, in the book in itself was really good. That was sadly was around the time everyone was kind of floundering.
Yeah.
Because the original formula kind of in comic books kind of fell out, and everybody was trying to find the new niche to build the entire new industry off of.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a big proponent of that. That's
he was
a sad story.
He was something else. So details are obviously private right now, but our thoughts and prayers go out with Norm and his family. Birds of Prey, they have a cast. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is the Huntress, and Journey Smollett-Bell is Black Canary. So the big news
is for DC.
On that.
DC
Remember we had
EU?
Margot Robbie on, not on our show, but we.
Is this a
quoted her.
movie?
Yeah.
Or is it a TV show?
No. Birds of Prey.
Well, I'm just saying to
movie.
clarify for the people who are listening.
Let's get into that. We had clips from Margot Robbie. Robbie? I always think it was Robbie, but it could be Robbie. She was talking about the Birds of Prey movie that she will be in with Harley
Quinn.
and she talked about diversifying the cast. And so Journey Smollett-Bell, who's from A Wrinkle in Time, is going to play what is typically cast as the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Black Canary. So it's interesting to see what the reaction will be online.
It won't be. It won't be interesting.
It won't be interesting?
No, there will be
Is
nothing.
it predictable?
Yes. It will be exactly what we think it is.
Once again, I kind of when I talk about any of this stuff, the term is the race swapping term. That's what they actually use to define to call it. I don't know who coined that phrase, but that is the phrase that kind of goes about.
Sure,
So
another really pretty
passing that along.
term.
I always view these movies, and we talked about it earlier, we talked about Dark Phoenix, as kind of like the ultimate universe. So if they're going to cast somebody, they're going to cast somebody. I mean, it just, like, to me, I'm not like...
That's a semi-enlightened point of view that unfortunately a lot of people don't share.
Everything
with us,
I do is semi. That's the best way to put it. We talked really briefly earlier
it's good that we're done with that
about
subject.
Walking Dead. We're not going to get not kicked off the air this week. Andrew Lincoln could be returning to Walking Dead to direct, according to EW. He made headlines when he was leaving the show, but surprise, surprise, it turns out he'll be back for season 10 after all.
Who
Just
cares?
not the way we're used to. He will be shadowing a director in season 9.
Don't care.
And he's
Couldn't
going
possibly
to
care more.
direct next year. All
My
right.
God, get rid of that guy. Get rid of that show. That show, I hope, hopefully, will drop. as Rick leaves, the show will go.
Next.
Why wouldn't you, if you were on a show for, if you're on a show for 9 years, wouldn't you just go for 10? Why end on an odd number?
He's got 2 young kids at home. I
Can't
don't know.
divide an odd number. Why would you do that?
Duchovny also did 9 too. Remember that? Remember he
But he
ducked
came
out.
back.
Like 20 years later when he had
Doesn't
no
matter.
career.
He came back.
Next week,
He had no career.
we have a packed studio. We got Tony Moy, artist of the mainstream, is going to join us in studio, and his painting is unbelievable. His watercolors are unbelievable. We've got David Alden from Vampire Diaries going to be on next week, and we're previewing New York Comic Con. So join us next week. The Governor's House is next.
You're listening to the Talking Alternative Network.